meeting to order. It's September 5th, 2024. Glad to see the crowd here today. We're going to start off with the preacher from Trenton Church of Christ, Mr. Everett Keaton, is going to lead us in a prayer, and then Commissioner Smith is going to lead us in the pledge.
Go ahead, bow with me. Our God and our Father, we come to you this afternoon. First and foremost, we recognize you as the only true God, and we are thankful for you and what you have made possible to be your children through your Son and what he did for us. And we're just thankful for the way you guide us and your Spirit guides each and every day. And as we meet again today, the public and as the commissioners meet as the commission to discuss the matters of this county, we just always pray for your guidance and your wisdom, for objective minds and cool hearts to always prevail. Do what is best for all of us, and we pray that you would guide them in that. And for all of us as a community, that we would also have love and respect and patience with one another and them as they make these decisions. Again, Father, continue to bless us this county, help us always put you first in everything we do. It's something we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Red flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. We will move on with the agenda. Are there any agenda changes?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I want to, under my attorney report, speak to you about correspondence concerning the opioid litigation.
Okay. All right, any others?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, the emergency management.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I saw it in here. We do have, it's a FEMA licensing under emergency management. It's not item number 10. It's actually, we have that, so.
Motion approved agenda with noted change.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Langford to approve the agenda with the noted changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have had a chance to look at the consent agenda. Any questions about the consent agenda or any remarks?
So moved.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Langford and a second by Commissioner Smith to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we have two times in our meeting where we have public participation at the beginning and at the end of the meeting. If you have something you would like to address the board with, this is your chance to do it. And then you'll have a chance at the end of the meeting to do it also if you're not on the regular agenda. If you're already on the agenda, then not needed, but anybody wish to comment? I think we had someone that wanted to speak on a map I got. Come on up, if you would, to the podium and tell us your name, because we have to record it, and tell us what we've got here.
All right, good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me?
It is a little low.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that better?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Fred Stratton, and I'm a proud resident of Gilchrist County, and I'm a cave diver and currently serve as the chairman of the cave diving section of the National Speleological Society. You don't have to be a cave diver to know that there's a lot of water running underground here. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. The city of Alachua has painted a target on the back of the Santa Fe River from a proposed 523 house development in the worst possible location in Alachua County. It's at the intersection of 441 and I-75, and it involves a swalette, which is a geologic term for a sinkhole, an area that collects water. Okay. You might be asking, why am I talking to the Gilchrist County Commission about something happening east of here? Well, here's why. The geologic feature in the limestone bedrock called the Cross County Fracture is represented on the first page that I've given you, that first map there. This fracture allows water to flow from Mill Creek Sink. It's also known as Alachua Sink. It's a nature preserve right now. That water flows underground 8 miles to Hornsby Sink and comes out at Hornsby, flows into the Santa Fe River, And, for those of you who may not know where Hornsby Spring is, it comes out at Camp Colaqua, north of the city of High Springs. And how do we know that? I'll tell you in just a second. There's a proposed Alachua development poised to drain into the aquifer at the Mill Creek Sink. It has several tracts associated with it under the name Terra, named for the last name of the developer, Mr. Mukhtara. In fact, portions of the development are slated to be built right on top of the cave system upstream of Mill Creek Sink. A dye study, biologically safe dyes, a dye study was done in 2005 by the county of Alachua. It was performed by Karst Environmental Research, Karst Environmental Services. Some of you may remember Wes Skiles, a very famous filmmaker, cave diver, local resident here in Gilchrist County. The study showed that the dye put in at Mill Creek took 5 to 7 days to go the 8 miles to Hornsby Spring, and it impacted wells all along the course of that water. More importantly, it took 154 days for that dye to clear completely from the system at Hornsby. So think about products such as fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides used on lawns and parks, and oil runoff from streets from this development that will make their way to the Santa Fe River. The county of Alachua and the city of High Springs have both notified the city of Alachua of effective party status for this development. Because of the Santa Fe River flowing through Gilchrist County, I'm asking that the commission tonight consider joining the county of Alachua and the city of High Springs as an affected party. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I would, from what I know, that it would not behoove me to buy a house in a subdivision that's right over what is known as a lot of the caves that are running water. I mean, I just watched a special today on sinkholes, and there's a subdivision that's got 4 or 5 big sinkholes in it, and they're wondering what they're going to do with all the residents that bought there. Is that something that is possible or no?
Well, yes, sir. It's interesting to note that a consulting firm, JB Pro, I believe they're out of Jacksonville. They're the same engineering company that has done the engineering assessment for the Tara Forest West development in Alachua. The same ones that had done the engineering study for the Bridlewood development you may have heard about outside High Springs, 2,100 homes. That looked like it was moving forward, but after Debbie, 6 sinkholes opened up in that area. So you have to question what kind of engineering firm says one day this is a good area, it's geologically stable to build over 2,000 homes. After Debbie, 6 sinkholes open up. Yes, absolutely concerned for potential homeowners buying a home on karst land that's riddled with water.
Was that out there by Tillman Acres?
Say again, sir?
That out there by Tillman Acres is where that development was going in, between outside of High Springs towards Newberry?
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little?
Tillman
I've been scuba
Acres.
diving lately,
Yeah.
and it diminishes my hearing a little bit.
Outside of High Springs towards Newberry, that Tillman Acres, is that part of that extension of that subdivision there that you're
Oh,
talking
the
about?
Bridlewood, I'm not exactly sure where it is, sir. I think it's east southeast of High Springs. They haven't started building on it yet.
What about the one in Alachua now?
Oh, in Alachua, yes, sir.
The Alachua sink is right behind Sonny's Barbecue. I've been down to it before.
Yes, sir, it's correct. It's
And now,
directly-
where are they talking about? They already got a subdivision going in across from Publix.
Right.
So where is this 500 housing? Where is it?
Oh, yes, sir. It's a total of 373 acres, almost 1,000 units. The 198 acres with the 523 home tract, that is east and north of the Alachua Sink, Mill Creek Sink.
So it'd be north
I
of
believe if
sink?
may draw your attention to this graphic in there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult to see, but you're right. If you know where Sonny's is, at 75 and 441,
Yeah, I've been down to that sink. We used to fish in it.
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
sir?
it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Yes, just east of there, you see that large red outline, that's the development for the Tara Forest West. Yes. And they have proposed building some retention ponds in there, but the engineering on the retention ponds is suspect, and they want to build the retention ponds in conservation land. So land that is currently being used as a place where water can slowly filter in to the bedrock and slowly filter into the aquifer. They want to clear those trees so they can build retention ponds. And retention ponds aren't nearly as effective at absorbing the pollutants such as herbicides, pesticides, as old growth, as forest is.
Most retention ponds have a sinkhole or two in them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stratton, I would, I appreciate you coming and I appreciate your concern. I would suggest that, our staff take a look at what you presented and maybe come back with a recommendation for us. At first glance, I have some concern about, us, getting into the middle of the city of Alachua or Alachua County's land use, because I'm pretty sure we don't want them, we'd rather them not do that for us, but even with all that, I would like for staff maybe to just take a look at what you presented and come back with a recommendation if the board agrees.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that would be a good idea. What Mr. Smith is saying is true. We've had Alachua try to tell us what to do, and we very kindly say, listen, we'll run our county, you run yours, and so when we start trying to tell Alachua what to do, we'll probably get the same response from them, but, not rude or anything, but they run their thing, but we'll take a look at it and see if they have any suggestions of something we could do, because, I'm all for, slowing down growth around here as much as we can, and certainly building a subdivision on land that is suspect. But
I appreciate,
we'll have our staff look at it, see if there's something they suggest we can do, okay?
I appreciate, I understand the sovereignty. I support and defend the Constitution with my life, and, I understand. If nothing else, we've given you some information that perhaps you didn't have, and.
Always good to be educated.
Yes,
I remember when Pete Butt did that dye test and it came
oh,
out.
you know Pete Budd?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's an excellent guy. He's a great
Yeah,
guy.
he did it and it come out at Hornaby Springs.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Commissioner.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, anybody else? Hello, how are you, ma'am?
So far, I think all of you have received emails from me.
Could you tell us your name?
Yeah,
We have to have it on recording.
absolutely. It's a mouthful, so I'll say it pretty slowly. It's LaSharda Leafy. I'm an intergovernmental congressional affairs specialist for FEMA. So I was just coming to say hello. I just wanted to meet you all in person.
I have received many emails
Yes,
from you.
wonderful. That is absolutely
Yes,
stupendous.
every day I get
Yes.
enlightened with what's going on in FEMA. We love to see the response that y'all have here. That's great.
Absolutely. And you have a beautiful county, very, very beautiful county. I got a chance to go around today with DSA and canvass one of the neighborhoods with them. So, of course, there were no trespassing signs, and we had to be very, very leery and, of course, confirm to those no trespassing signs. But we left flyers. I also got a chance to see Blue Springs. Beautiful. Oh, my
Yes,
God. I heard about the brownout that happened, so it's very, very pleasant and delightful to see it so crystal clear. But I want to also ask if you guys had any questions about the process, or what it would look like. I have a sequence of delivery that I can provide to you, as far as what it looks like in general. But I don't know if you want me to use the time for that or have one-on-one conversations with y'all, which I prefer to do.
Have y'all had a lot of response from, residents?
Yeah, we've had a pretty good turnout as far as, residents applying for IA at the DRC. And of course, that one barrier with DSA as far as the no trespassing signs, they can't enter on across onto private property. But that's been the only hiccup so far. Especially, or at least, those residents along the Suwannee River, it was kind of difficult to reach them because we had to wait for the river levels to go down. But so far, it's been a pretty good turnout. We left for as many people to apply as possible because we have so many new changes in FEMA. But yeah, if y'all have any time, I only need maybe like 15, 20 minutes just to go over everything, and I know each of you have very distinct districts. Even though it's in one county, your districts are not all alike, so you may have different needs for each one of those things. So we can just sit down and discuss what you need, who we can reach out to, relay that information to our program areas and get as much assistance as possible. That'd be wonderful.
I met with her, a little over a week ago, I think. Yeah.
That's fixing. Yeah, I was thinking to say, I know that Sharon had a lot of people in her district that are on the Santa Fe, and the Santa Fe flooded a lot worse than the Swanee did.
No, Santa Fe, no.
No,
I'm just,
She's walked that.
I'm on Stafford.
Excuse
Yeah,
me,
that's
who's on the your Santa Fe?
Yeah.
I had some people out there who had some flooding issues, I didn't know you,
Mhm.
yeah, you're at Walker-Sessa, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm saying the thing.
So, thank you very much for coming and letting us know and lighting up my phone every day, telling me what's going on. I love to see that y'all are on top of it. So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you for what you
appreciate it.
do.
Has there been a change? Cause like this is a new response to a storm and I like, you know, it's a great response. I love it. Was there some sort of change that? Okay. So in the future, we can kind of expect the same type of, awesome, very good.
So a lot of red tape is done. A lot of things are more streamlined now.
You're speaking to the mic
Yes,
so everybody can hear you.
so a lot, as far as the new IA changes, a lot of red tape has been removed, and also the process to apply for IA has become very streamlined. So once upon a time, if you needed continued rental assistance, you had to provide receipts to show that the initial, assistance that you got, it was used specifically for rental assistance. That is no longer, no more. If you need it now, all you have to do is contact IA or contact us and let us know, like, hey, I've gotten this assistance so far, but I need more. Even as far as the appeals process, once upon a time, you had to sign all this letter, this paperwork, provide supporting documentation that supports why you know you're appealing your case. That is no more. I also have all these things written down because we have about 12 of them so far. So for serious needs assistance, this is a new thing. That is a $750 payment available in all disasters for food, water, baby formula, and emergency supplies. So typically that would have been something that was requested by the state, or at least that had to be in that initial request for assistance from the state, but that is no longer. It's automatic with every disaster that you get.
So do you have to have a certain income though to get that?
This is fine.
And then and the deadline's, I think you
It's gonna
told me
be October 9th.
October 9th. And,
Quote me, it should be October.
and to apply for that, you go to that website then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You go to disasterassistance.gov or you call 1-800-621-3362. And also we have BSA that are going back and forth to all the different neighborhoods. But however you can, it may be easier to call, for some people who may be more of your senior,
And that's anybody in our
residents, they may
county
need
can get
assistance.
that money.
That's anyone in your county. As long as you live in one of the disaster designated counties, you can
Wow.
apply for individual assistance.
So we might need
Also, we have displacement assistance, so that provides upfront funds to assist with immediate housing options to survivors that cannot return home after the disaster until they can secure, permanent housing. So this is a thing where typically you would have to wait until you are approved for that, and then you'll have to find a hotel. And you may have to go to like a friend's house or a family member's home before you could just go over into a hotel. So now FEMA is immediately providing those funds to help you until you transition into the hotel, or at least until you transition into permanent housing. So that's a really, really great thing. I'm just so excited about it. And it's no longer required for you to go through the SBA to apply for FEMA assistance, which was probably huge, red tape for a lot of people. You had to be denied by the SBA, and then you could come back with your denial and apply for FEMA assistance. So now you can do both. You can go through FEMA, and you can also go through the SBA. And even if you have home insurance, if your home insurance wasn't enough to cover your damage, now FEMA can still provide you some assistance. So once upon a time, that was not a thing. Of course, we still want to prevent the duplication of benefits for some things, but it's just filling in the gap where people may have been underinsured, just to make sure that you have that security. We can't put you back to pre-disaster conditions, but we can put you in a life-sustaining position after a disaster. We also have support to fix a disaster damaged area, their home pre-existing, damages and conditions. So let's say you had a hole that was in your roof, once, before these, reforms, people will tell you the disaster had nothing to do with that roof. And you know, y'all have probably had tons of people like, what do you mean? Look, I already had this hole and now I have all this water and rain is coming down, I got mildew, I got mold. What do you mean you can't help me? So now that is the thing, it's a part of, another portion of it is clean and sanitize. But if you had that and now the disaster has made it worse, we can actually help.
Well, thank you very much for
I
all
have a
this
lot of
information.
what I could say.
This is too much to take in all at one time. But we've got your name and your number now, and if we have any residents that, call, the office, wanna know what we can do, we can get them in touch with you. So thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate it.
And then to qualify for the 750, just call that number then? Okay, call that.
It's serious needs assistance. All of that is encompassed. They have a questionnaire that they ask each survivor, each family that's applying. The questionnaire could be at least 20 questions or so, just to get a lot of background information,
Okay.
like typical questionnaires. But you just contact them.
Thank you.
Bobby, can I ask, do we have that information links on our website, or can we do that?
We can make sure it is. We normally do have the links to the FEMA because they provide them
Okay.
almost daily, different things. And we usually just put the link because there's so much information. Then they just click on the link and then search it. So
I know Ralph put some stuff on Facebook after we
Yeah.
met,
Yes.
but, maybe just put something simple, you know, to apply for 750, you know, instead of, you know, everything, you know, together, just something simple, that way they know they can get this.
Yeah.
That way, you know, cause it's, sometimes it's too much reading to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you very much. We
Thank
certainly
you
do
for coming.
appreciate it. We've got your
Appreciate it.
name and number now, and, hopefully if people come to us, we'll know where to send them. Ralph, did you want to comment? Thank you.
Ralph Smith, Emergency Management. So the biggest thing we're pushing right now is for the citizens to apply for FEMA. I'm not telling them they can get $750. They need to apply for FEMA because for some reason, if they do not meet the criteria, they will not get the money.
Well, some people may not know, you know, the
They need
750 is
to apply
available,
for FEMA.
right, that $750 may be available.
I
if you apply, if you
understand that,
apply.
but from experience, my parents applied, they were denied.
Yeah.
So to keep your guys' phone from ringing because they didn't get $750,
Right.
they need to apply for FEMA.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I will tell you today's date, 509 registrations for Gilchrist County, $267,703 has been given out to the county residents.
Wow. Good deal.
So,
All right.
any other
Mr.
questions? for me?
Mr. Chair, while we're on the FEMA discussion, just kind of a public service announcement. So I received a letter from FEMA in regards to my application. Only problem was I had not actually applied. So if you get something from FEMA, I encourage you to look at it, because actually, it sat on my counter for several days, and I was like, well, I just assumed it was like, hey, FEMA assistance is available. I opened it up and found out that I apparently had applied,
Oh, wow.
and I contacted them, and so if you get something from FEMA, you should probably look at it, because you may have applied as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you guys. If you want me to put that, I'll be more than happy to. I was just trying not to do that because my parents lost all their food in Horseshoe. Applied, they got $0.
Yeah.
So I'd hate to get people's hopes up.
Yeah, I understand. No, thank you very much. All right, anybody else? All right, then we can move right on to our agenda. We will move on to, we don't have any constitutional officers with us today that need to speak. And we'll move on to our county administrator's report.
Yeah, yes, sir. My report starts with item number 6 today. It's under fire and EMS. We have had a lease with the Spring Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., a nonprofit corporation now since September the 9th, 1999. This lease actually was for 25 years, and the lease expires September the 8th. So what we would like to do is renew this lease just by amending it with an additional 5 years, added to the lease. We won't have to change the lease. Chief Campbell has spoken to Mr. Alexander, maybe some more. They were acceptable to that. So if the board agrees to that, Mr. Lang will be more than happy to just prepare the amendment for an additional 5 years. And based on him preparing that, we'd like permission to just go ahead and execute it once he gets it prepared.
Okay.
Motion approved and lease.
Second. I got a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the lease of the volunteer fire department at Spring Ridge, for another 5 years.
Does the corporation want to renew the lease at Spring Ridge? The officers?
Lee, I see
Have
your
we
name
spoken?
was on this one. Are you okay with that?
We would,
Yeah, the lease is with, Spring Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., and it's an active Florida corporation lease. Do you want to, are the officers and directors of the corporation willing to continue the lease?
For 5 more years? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
the next item is under solid waste. As you'll know in the budget, we have a new semi-listed. Solid waste has the money in their reserves and able to, purchase it. With talking with Nextran, and this is on the sheriff's state bid contract, if we go ahead and purchase it in September, it's $159,105. If we wait until October the 1st or after, it's $162,605, so that's an additional $3,500. And one of the other things that changes is their warranties change also October the 1st. Right now, with this purchase price, we would get a 60-month, 400,000-mile warranty on the engine emissions and the AC, plus a 60-month, 500K on the clutch as well. And that's an additional, if we wait till after October 1st and we wanted that, that would even be another 2,000. So that would be like 5,500 we'd be saving, at this time. Those warranties would reduce to 5 years, 300K if you just took the warranty, with the emissions and HVAC, and it'd also be no clutch warranty if we waited till October the 1st or after. This truck is available, it's ready to go. And like I said, we do have the money in the, fund balance, so it's just a matter of we can save $3,500, wind up with a much better warranty, and just purchase it a few days or few weeks ahead of.
And then that money will go right back into fund balance then, once the budget starts?
Well, the budget would be, yes, ma'am.
Right.
The money would be spent, so there's no money to go back in fund balance, but the budget would be changed and that money would roll back into fund balance, yes,
So
yes,
it's the
ma'am,
same.
yes. Mhm.
You're just getting it a couple weeks early to get a better deal.
Yeah.
Right, and one of the
We're gonna
big
get it
things,
anyway.
I like the better deal and I like the much better warranty too. I mean, it's,
Most certainly.
it costs a lot of money to replace a clutch and something, one of those if you have to.
Motion to approve request.
All right, we got a motion to approve the solid waste purchase of a semi-truck. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Smith.
Just a real quick comment. I talked to, Bobby Rush, and the vehicle we're replacing has 500,000 miles on it. He's saying that one of the reasons we gotta replace it is the repair cost, and, just basically it's, gonna be a cost savings over time to have, that's why we gotta have a new vehicle.
Yeah,
So,
I talked to him also a long while back, and he said they've got one truck that the emission system is not working, that the DEF system is not clearing itself like it's supposed to, and the repair was kind of expensive.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the finance department will probably want, an amount not to exceed in your motion on
Not
the,
to
approval.
exceed, what was it, 100 and?
162,605?
No,
No,
159, 105.
59,105.
I don't,
There's the
I'll
info.
include that in my motion.
Yeah, you can just approve that purchase price.
Yep,
Yeah,
Okay.
and for the record, this is being purchased off the Florida Sheriff's State contract,
correct.
All right.
which is referenced on the bid.
All right, so we have a motion, by Commissioner Langford to purchase the solid waste semi-truck not to exceed, $150,105.
No, 159,105.
159, excuse me, I put that as a zero, 159,105. And this is purchased off the state contract?
That's
Yes,
correct.
Sheriff's
Florida
Office.
Sheriff State bid contract.
All right, Florida State Sheriff's bid contract. All those, and is that fine with Sharon and Daryl?
Yeah, I already said.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right,
We just bought your truck for you.
Yep. You
Mr.
got your
Chair.
check coming.
Mr.
Now,
Chair,
do you know when that truck will be available? I mean, you said it's available immediately. Is that like next week or?
The way the gentleman talked at Next Trend, I don't think it'll be no later than Monday. I'm not so sure they're not gonna bring it tomorrow if we let them
Yeah,
know.
well, yeah, okay. Well,
It,
good.
it's sitting on the yard ready. They had the trucks were available, so.
Mr. Chair, just as a comment, you know, Mr. Crosby and I discussed this and the funds are available in, fund balance, but, just as a reminder, we actually had budgeted for this for next year.
Right.
We're just bringing this forward in order to create the savings. Just kind of for public information, but
Okay, thank you very much. All right. We'll move on to number 8, community
Yes, sir.
paramedic.
Under community paramedic, we have a memorandum of understanding that, Mr. Ryan has brought to me, and with the Meridian Behavioral Health Care. And this has to do with the job that he's doing with community paramedic. I would like to let him maybe explain, if he will, what this will help provide in the job that he's doing with our citizens.
Brian Clemens, Gilchrist County Fire Rescue, and this is a MOU between, Fire Rescue and Meridian. They have a new, mobile response, team that they utilize and that we feel could be beneficial. All the MOU does is allow us to refer patients back and forth, and it's no cost to either party, so it'd be pretty straightforward. This is just one of many MOUs I will bring to you for partnering organizations with the community paramedicine program. But they have a lot of great funding and a lot of, new processes and new programs that Meridian has implemented. So we're just trying to get them out to the community with us.
Good to team with them and have it from different areas and different sources to pull from there. So they're having do you say they've started a team of their own to help with this type of thing?
Yes, sir. So they have a mobile response team which will come out and handle crisis with patients on scene. They will handle Baker Act on scene for us. So potentially save us on transports. And it really just kind of aligns with the state's ultimate goal of accessing care to our rural and underserved areas.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Yeah, I believe it, doesn't it say that we agree to contract or employ a medical director?
We
to
have,
Provide services
We have
for
one.
Meridian? Okay, well, the second question I had was, you mentioned that a moment ago, Baker's Act, Myers Act. We're not obligating ourselves through Gilchrist Fire to be the transport party for any of those patients, right?
No, or actually the whole point of this is to
So they can do it.
reduce the amount of those that we have to do.
So that they can do it.
So they can do it.
So no,
Well, that's good, because they're freely willing to ask any agency that will take one of those Baker Act patients for them to take them off their hands. And I just want to make sure we're not obligating the county to be the sole responsible party for that, because I think it falls under the sheriff, number one, initially.
it does, and there's a separate MOU the county has concerning Baker
Okay.
Act completely.
Well, I was looking at
But
your
this does not-
the duties, that you have 5 duties they're asking you to do there. I just want to make sure that wasn't one of them, transport.
No, yeah. After 8 years on the truck, I can tell you that we're not asking for more.
And there's no financial responsibility for the county. We're not obligated.
Brian, we appreciate what you're doing. I had a chance to visit with you a couple weeks ago, and you're doing good things with this program, and you're gonna continue to, I think, build it. So thank you very much.
You're doing a great job. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah. Motion to approve the MOU with Meridian.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the MOU.
One thing we need to add, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off.
No,
Is, and authorize permission to sign the agreement, because I think the agreement actually says Gilchrist Fire Rescue. Are you gonna be the signing party as chairman, or do you want someone from Gilchrist Fire and Rescue to sign it?
do I need to do it?
Yeah, because it's titled Gilchrist County Fire Rescue by, and it's got a blank place. I didn't know if we wanted our chairman to sign it, or if you had, a designee, Ryan or someone.
Does it matter, Ryan, if the chair signs it or if the chief signs it?
I would
Okay.
just draw a line through it, put Gilchrist County, the chairman,
All right,
and then,
I'll
and
go
then
ahead
sign
and
it.
sign it.
Okay,
I think you could leave it as it is.
And just sign
and
it.
just
I
put
think you can leave it. and-
by and entitled chairman of the board.
Correct.
that'll work.
That's what I'd do.
All right.
Add that
Okay.
to your motion, please.
All right, we have a motion to accept the MOU, with Meridian, with me as the designated signer. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Motion carries.
Next item is under number 9, general task order for County Road 339. If you know, we just received a grant and executed with, the FDOT for paving of 339 from 129 to Levy County line. Locklear has provided us with a proposal to provide engineering services for the resurfaces improvement of the County Road 339, and that's an amount of $200,000. Asking approval for that, and then we can get started with the design work.
this
and
is
that
gonna
is covered
also
by
be
the
to,
grant.
Fix a lot, those culverts out there?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Motion to approve.
All right, we've got a motion to approve task order for, CR 339. Is there a second? Second. Got a second by Commissioner Langford, Tommy Langford, for the task order on CR 339. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
So how long would it be before we move to the next step of bidding out to have the work done? Estimate?
4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Sometimes it depends on how busy the DOT is sometimes, because even once the design work's done, now they've got to do surveys, which they have in-house surveys, so that helps. And that'll move along, but get the design, but but then it has to be presented to the DOT. Sometimes those get turned around in a week or so. Sometimes it takes a month or so. It just depends on how many comes in and how you fall in line.
Same county.
The next is our hazard, waste monitoring. This will not be paid until next year, and it is budgeted, but we usually go ahead and approve it in advance so that we'll have it ready for next year. This is with North Central Florida Regional Planning Council. It's an amount of $2,697. Like I said, it is monitored. We're required to, it is budgeted, and we're required to have this, monitoring for your hazard waste generators.
What department does this come out of?
And they provided that service.
It comes out of solid waste.
Solid waste. Do they monitor the old, where the dump used to be, is it?
No. This is
Generator.
anyone who changes oil or does that type, they have to maintain and keep up with,
Okay.
and they go around and make sure that they are doing the proper monitoring, they have the proper documentation showing where it was picked up and all.
Okay, okay.
It says hazardous waste generators.
Mhm.
Do we have hazardous waste generators?
It's,
Are they talking about generating them?
But
I think anything
that's
that generates
when they,
hazardous waste.
the term generators is your service, your businesses or whatever that changes oil. That's the generator. It's not like a generator that generates power.
Okay. I was wondering.
But,
No,
it's-
it
yeah.
makes sense, and it sounds like it was a hazardous waste generator that, but it's all the businesses that generate hazardous
Mhm.
waste.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, do we have
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the, hazardous waste monitoring,
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor of the hazardous waste monitoring agreement, which is budgeted and will be paid out of next year's budget, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
The next item was the agenda change. It's actually number 10 on the agenda. It's the FEMA licensing use agreement. They're asking to use Station Two up on 138. And if you remember, we had to do this anytime we have a storm and FEMA is working on our property, they have to do a licensing agreement or, a license use agreement. So this is their standard agreement, same ones they've used in the past, and they will be doing this up on 138. That's where Station Two is, and they just need this agreement signed. We just need this agreement to allow them to be up there.
Motion
Servicing
to
the
approve.
citizens.
All right, we have a motion. And a second.
They've been up there before. They've been up there before.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Langford and a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve the FEMA licensing agreement, for the station on 138, Station 2. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right,
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, unless you have some questions at this time.
no, that's, good to get through that. Okay, clerk's report.
Oh, I have an agenda change.
Actually, agenda change.
Excuse me, I skipped right over your change. Sorry about that. I had it down here and just walked right over it.
Yeah, that's fine. This will be very brief. We received correspondence from Eric Romano with Romano Law Group concerning the opioid litigation. They've been, given a deadline of September 10th, to be entitled to add, 4 more defendants to the lawsuit: Express Scripts, Optum RX Inc., Endeavor Inc., RO Life Pharma LLC. If you add these defendants though, and you later withdraw or find out that you shouldn't have included them to begin with, you may be responsible for attorney's fees and costs for adding them as additional defendants. So my recommendation to the board is to allow me to tell Mr. Romano that the board's not interested in adding any additional defendants. We're pretty sure with what we've got and what they've done for us in the past, without delving off deeper into this thing, into the unknown. So that would be my recommendation.
So moved. All right, so we have a recommendation not to
Add people.
add
Additional.
people to the additional,
As additional defendants to the ongoing litigation that's presently occurring.
okay?
And they have the opportunity, but they have to have an answer for the court by September the 10th.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Langford. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a second by Commissioner Thomas, on the aforementioned, not allowing any more defendants, not covering any more defendants on this, litigation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
And there's one little second part of this that not with that particular part, but second part of this thing is, it's called a litigation hold notice. I don't know if we've officially sent out a blanket litigation hold order on any matters that deal with the opioid litigation, but we are bound by the public records law and that sort of thing. But what a hold order does, even though some of that stuff may be considered confidential, you're not allowed to destroy or get rid of any matters that the defendants in the case might possibly want to use going forward. So I'm just informing the board, council, Mr. Romans and I. He receives the same emails that I get from the Romano group, and I don't know if Mr. Campbell does or not, or Ryan or Meridian, but anything that deals with this ongoing opioid litigation must be retained until council tells us that we can release it. So I make an official public statement to that effect, in lieu of the fact that I'm not sure that we have an official blanket hold order that's ever been issued. I don't think the law firm representing us has ever given us one and said issue it, but I just want to make sure we were all on the same page with that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much. All right, we will move on now to our clerk's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item on our report is budget recap. This recap is through August 29th. In the general fund, we've had year-to-date expenditures of $20,315,000 with revenues of $18,882,000. We are still anticipating some reimbursements from the state, so that should get us in line on the general. In the fire, we've got year-to-date expenditures of $1,176,000 versus revenues of $1,125,000. In transportation, we've got year-to-date expenditures of $2,864,000 versus revenues of $2,162,000. You may recall, we purchased the zipper, which has, gotten our expenditures up over, what we'd anticipated. And we'll be talking about that in just a little bit on our time certain. In EMS, we've got year-to-date expenditures of $2,481,000 versus revenues of $1,731,000. Solid waste, year-to-date expenditures of $976,000 versus revenues of $1,654,000. Anyone have any questions on any of those?
We're, moving down to our last month and everything is where it should be, and those that are, underfunded at this time, we still are expecting funds to come in to bring us up to where we should be.
For the most part, again, we are going to have some budget amendments here in just a few minutes, that are going to help, address some of these. But, probably the biggest concern is EMS, you know, at 97%, you know, with still having a month to go, it's going to be tight. So.
All right.
So does this
Thank you very
mean
much.
they spent over their budget or want to be spending over what they budgeted?
It means that, we're currently at 97% of our expenditures.
Okay.
We have 60 days after year end to make adjustments to the budget to keep everything in compliance with the state law. And I'll probably come back with those. We'll have to figure out what we need to that. A lot of that will probably be the fund balance. And for instance, that's one reason EMS is so high, is we're kind of paying for those two ambulances. And those were budgeted to come out of the fund balance.
All right. All right, thank you. All right.
Next item of our report, really, this is just, a technicality. I need ratification of the LISA grant. The chairman has actually already signed it, but I just need to get ratification from the board. This was needing to be submitted to the state, and we ended up not having a meeting, so.
These are the funds we get to support the sheriff's office
That's
from the
correct. This is the
legislature.
state
Yeah.
appropriation
So I make a
dollars.
motion, we approve, this agreement, I guess.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the ratification for the LESA grant. That's the grant that the sheriff's office gets for funding police officers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that's something we've received for several years now. And
Correct.
we hope it will continue.
This based off population?
It's based on, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's not based on population. It's based on, I think small counties are the small county coalition is the ones that get.
Small county
the
coalition's
funds.
done well for us there.
constrained county.
Yeah, so it's not really based on population. It's just based on physically constrained.
So I had a question. We have 486, 422.
Mhm.
Dixie County has 690, 634. And so it would be good to find out why there's a difference.
Yeah, 'cause for a lot of
So, I mean, to be honest, I mean, that's a better question for the sheriff, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that when this first was implemented, they reached out to each county to determine what the need was. And so, you know, it was kind of one of those strange situations that you get put in where
Not population or not.
it's not based,
deputies or-
there was really no
Is it
nexus.
Size of police
Yeah.
force, because
And
they have a
staff,
bigger
yeah,
county,
Number of staff is what I
number of
was saying.
staff that they hire.
Could be.
Potentially. Again, I think it'd be better to ask the sheriff, because I know that he was involved in like determining that number.
Okay.
But there's definitely, you know, when you look at the numbers for each county,
Yeah,
there's really no nexus, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Levy County, they got $1,085,000.
Yeah. I think I noticed somewhere it says it's recurring funding. Is that?
It has
true?
been.
Which
It's
is a good-
recurring of funding as long as it's appropriated.
Right, I understand.
You know, it's an annual appropriation that has to occur. So, you know, our goal or our hope would be that they continue to fund that every year. And hopefully they will,
And in the budget, we anticipated this, correct?
correct.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, and the good news is with it is that it's approved in this year's state budget. So we know what our dollars are before we get to our budget. So if they were to one year decide we're not gonna do this, at least we know ahead of time and can, you know, make determinations of what needs to be done.
Figure out when we're gonna come up with $500,000 if we wanna keep it. Okay. What do we know about population?
So our population estimate was a slight increase. If you look on the last page of this, it shows that, it's based on the census is what they go off of. So the census number was 17,864. They're estimating that we're at 18,691, minus all the inmates. In the county, that is going from 14,853 to 15,384. So we did show a slight increase, you know, again, I mean, it's questionable whether or not this is accurate or not.
Yeah, you see
But-
700 new homes being built, but the population only goes up by,
But the last,
they're not full families, that's for sure.
but the last time that we challenged this, you know, we spent a lot of time on this and got a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be to approve, submitting this to UF and,
Realizing that we're closer to 20 than we are 15.
yes, sir.
All right, what do you wanna do?
I make a motion, we approve the UF population estimates for 2024.
All right, we got a motion? Second. And a second by Commissioner, Thomas to approve, the, University of Florida's population estimates. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Last year, we, for those of you that don't know, we didn't agree on the population estimates last year and we, submitted a challenge and we got nowhere. And, they don't like budging on those things, even though we're pretty sure our population is more than what they say. You don't get a whole lot of chance to litigate, to challenge them. They don't like that, so they just, so we're just going with it this year. All right, we have, is that it? You have anything else?
That concludes my report and
All right, we
We have
have
a
a
few
time certain at 5 o'clock and that's, 6 minutes away. So we're gonna recess for 6 minutes and then we're gonna come back at 5 o'clock for our time certain. We get everybody back together, we'll get back with our time certain.
Richard's ready. Are you ready?
We're gonna,
Okay. Well, you're right about that.
all right. All right, I'll call this meeting, back to order. We had a 5 o'clock time certain, and we are just a few minutes after 5, so,
Yep.
Mr. Romans,
Yeah,
I
Richard
give you the
Vernon,
floor.
Finance Director. I've got a resolution here, 2024-30. This one's a little, it's got a lot of stuff in it, so, I've got that plus budget entry BE 24-005 that accompanies that. A lot of this is transfers out. And I'll read it first by title. A resolution of the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners amending the budget for the general fund, the capital expenditure fund, and the transportation fund. The amendment increases the budgets for expenditures for the fire facility, purchase of road zipper, and law enforcement. Increased budgets are recognized through the use of unanticipated sheriff fee receipts and the use of general fund reserves and establishing an effective date. The reason we have to do the fire transfer is because we have to spend the money before we get the money back to the state. So that's the main purpose of it.
And your budget entry goes along with this.
It does.
So I make a motion, we approve resolution 2024-30 and the budget entry 24-005.
All right, we have a motion by
Second.
Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve resolution 2024-30 and budget amendment 24-005. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? All right,
Okay, the next one is resolution 2024-31. It's a resolution of the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners amending the budget for the transportation fund. The amendment increases the budget for expenditures for the rock crusher rental, the new position salaries for lease payments due and use of lease proceeds for the equipment. And this is a GASB 87 requirement. Increased budget amounts. Oh, the use of the proceeds, the lease proceeds for the purchase of the equipment. Increased budget amounts are recognized through the use of lease proceeds and transportation reserves. We also have budget amendment entry BE 24-006.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-31 and budget entry 24-006.
all right, we have a motion. We get a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Langford, a motion by Commissioner, Tommy Langford, and a second by Commissioner Sharon Langford for resolution 2024-31 and budget amendment 24-006. This is the transportation fund budget. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I have heard, from the road department that the new rock crusher is incredible. They say they can grind a lot more rock, a lot more efficiently. They couldn't believe how good this new rock crusher was. So that's just a add-on since the rock crusher was in that part we just passed there. I still assume they're waiting on a fixing price for our new one, and hopefully fixed will do just as good a job.
That new one will run about 6.5 loads an hour. I said the new one runs about 6.5 loads an hour.
What did the old one run?
It got down to about 2,
Wow.
So hopefully when we repair it, it'll be in
back at
between there
around
somewhere.
6.
Okay, great. All right,
Okay. Resolution 2024-32. And I'll read it for you. This one's pretty simple. A resolution of the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners amending the budget for the SHIP fund. This amendment increases the budget for expenditures for SHIP housing assistance. Increased budget amounts are recognized through the use of unanticipated funds and establishing an effective date.
right.
It also has a budget entry. BE 24-007.
Yeah, motion to approve resolution 2024-32 and budget entry 24-007.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Tommy Langford to approve the amended ship fund budget, resolution 2024-32 and budget amendment 24-007. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes.
That concludes mine.
Thank you very much. A lot of work goes into that,
Yep.
I know, and we appreciate everything you do. We really do.
Both of
And,
y'all.
Both
Yep.
of y'all. And,
All of you.
so,
It always runs smoothly. Thank
it,
y'all.
it does. Y'all do such a great job. We do, have about 4 minutes. Do you want to go ahead and do the, commissioners' reports? Is that okay with y'all? And that way we can get those done and we won't have to do them at the all. So Miss, Sharon, you have any reports you
yeah.
want to do?
Yeah, I have a few. First one, I know we had talked about, attorney fees from the lawsuits that we've won. Where are we at on that?
Basically, we're waiting to find out what all of those fees are gonna be from everything finishing up. We have some of those finalized, and once we have those numbers, I'll of course be discussing that with Mr. Lang, and we'll be discussing how to move forward legally with that.
The next thing, because I know we're fixing to do budgets, so I need to ask a question. On this position control sheet, code enforcement went from 1 to 1.25. What was, like, why we have a fourth of a person?
I'm not sure. I think at one time, we had, at one time, code enforcement was part-time, and then there was another part-time person in there, but now it's down to just one person.
So we're not budgeted that other part?
I'll have to look. It's vacant. We're not gonna be filling it. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, emergency management went from, and I think that's because of the grant writer maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So the full-time grant writer, is that person gonna be able to write grants for like FERDAP, the roads, CDBG, and,
Well, they normally don't do FERDAPs. Mr. Fred Fox has
Okay.
always helped us with FERDAPs, but yes, as long as we pay part of that salary out of there and part of the salary from somewhere else, then they would be able to share in those responsibilities.
but for emergency management, it went from 1.83 to 2.33. And I know the 3.3 is part of Sharice's, so then the
Right.
whole position then will be funded out of.
We
um,
put it in as two positions, and basically the reason we did is just to, if we started getting enough of HMPG grants that we need to do that. The thing about that funding is that funding that goes into there has to be spent into that, in that department. In other words, so, you know, at this point, we're not looking to hire a full-time person in that position.
All right, I know we've hired some additional, road employees, because,
Mhm.
you know, something we desperately need. So right now, just curious what the update is on, how many, spots do we still have vacant?
We have 4 vacant positions. We had gotten down to 1, but, we had one gentleman who, well, he went back north. He said he didn't like Florida heat. And then, another gentleman was just older and he decided he didn't want to. And then we had one gentleman who just didn't work out. So we
So
have,
4 vacant right now,
yes, ma'am, and we're working
so
on
we're in the
filling.
process of hiring?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We have some, we've had, some people asking about those positions.
And just stop me if it gets 5:15. Whenever we, email, work orders for the road department, is there any way that we can get a, if it comes from a commissioner, we can get like an email sent that says it was completed? So we know it's been completed?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that would help.
That would be
That would
nice,
be-
because I get people who
Yeah.
call me and I call to have it done, and then I don't know if it's ever been done or not.
So do
unless
you
I
get
run
online
back
and
out.
do it, or do you call?
I usually just call them.
Who do you call?
I call Mr. Thomas, or Mr. Tomlinson.
Okay, so you call one of the,
And then
okay.
most of the time, the people call me back and say, hey, they did a great job, and I know it's been done. Otherwise, I don't know unless I run back
So are
out
we
there.
to call then, Mr. Rodney, or are we to call David then?
Supposed to call Mr. Rodney right now?
Right, the email that I think I sent out a couple months ago was,
Call Rodney.
please call Rodney,
Rodney.
yeah. Rodney's handling that side of it.
Okay, cause I thought he was doing something else, so that's why, okay, so, let me see. This is gonna take a while on that one is, okay. I had an email just today and I wanna know what the status was on picking up debris from the storm. So someone was wondering when they were gonna come around and pick up,
They're
their-
actively picking up debris now. We have a very large pile of debris as it is, and, they're moving forward
we
with
like
it.
25% done or 50%?
I would say we're probably about a third done.
We're a third, okay.
Yeah.
So I asked that person to send me, their address, because they sent me an email without an address, so when I get that address, I'll forward it to the road department.
That'll be fine, and we're trying not to jump around, because if we start moving all over the county, it's gonna take us longer. They were actually in the southeast part today, moving through, and so they're trying to stay on that. And we've got,
Now, I talked to Mr. Rodney today related to that, because I had a question with somebody on the river, and he basically said he's going around the main highways,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna start back on the southwest, I think, and go to every graded road, and,
he has it mapped out.
yeah, he's mapping it.
Are you stop there, and we'll do our 5:15, and then come back? All right, we'll continue with you when we get through though, but we
Thank
do
you.
have a 5:15 time certain. And, so we will move on to that. Our tentative budget hearing. And this gonna be run by you, or,
Sure.
okay?
So first item, is resolution 2024-24. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, relating to the provision of fire protection services and facilities and collection of special assessments, therefore, in the unincorporated area and certain incorporated areas of Gilchrist County, known as the Fire Special Assessment Annual Rate Resolution, establishing the rate of assessment for the fiscal year 2024-2025, setting forth purpose and definitions, making legislative determinations of special benefit and fair apportionment, setting forth a proposed schedule of assessment rates, approving the assessment roll, and providing an effective date. You may recall, during our budget workshops, that the, decision was made to add an additional ambulance on the road, which increased the need, within fire, because fire actually utilizes approximately 50% of your staffing for fire and EMS personnel, which caused the need for an increase in the fire rate to $177. So this does have the increased rate of 177 for residential parcels. It does maintain the same rate for non-residential parcels, which is 2.5 cents per square foot up to 10,000 and 1 cent for every square foot after 10,000. Just need a motion to approve resolution 2024-24.
All right, we have a motion? Motion to approve. Second. All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner, Tommy Langford to approve resolution 2024-24.
Discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to vote no because, I'm for a third ambulance ambulance, but, in 2021, our fire assessment was 80. Then it went up in 22 to 135, stayed that in 23, and then now 177. So within 2 years, we have doubled it. We, will have $52,000. Remember, we need 300,000 above fund balance just in fire, so we could take the other 250 out of our, fund balance that we have above our fund balance policy in general. We'll have $2,489,000.
Okay.
That's why I'm voting no, and you already know that.
Yep, I just, that's fine.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second to approve, resolution 2024-24. 2024. All those in favor signify, whoop,
Gotta do roll call.
oh, excuse me. Anybody wish to talk on this amendment or this, resolution, excuse me? All right, we can do roll call if you prefer. Sharon Langford, how do you
Well,
vote?
I thought that's how we had to do it.
It's not required on
It's
the
not
resolution.
required on this-
It's not
on this
required
part
on
of
this
it.
one. It's only
But
required.
The chairman can ask for a roll call.
But if
He
you would
can,
like to
yes.
do roll
No,
call, I don't mind.
okay.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
Well, I think he voted, no.
3-2, excuse me. I did not hear that correctly. All right, motion passes 3-2.
And can I just make a comment? I support the need for additional unit and staff. I think the main point, as Commissioner Langford just pointed out, we wanted to take out some of that funding from fund balance rather than taking it all out of an additional assessment. And I get why we're at where we're at. So.
Okay. We can go with another next one.
Next, we have, resolution, 2024-25. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, known as the Solid Waste Annual Rate Resolution, relating to the provision of services and facilities for solid waste collection and disposal, establishing the rate of assessment for the fiscal year 2024-2025, imposing service assessment against assessable property located within both the unincorporated and municipal areas of Gilchrist County, approving the service assessment roll, and approving an effective date. This resolution does maintain a continuation rate for solid waste, which is $120 per unit, per residential unit.
Motion to approve resolution number 24-25.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sharon Langford and a second by Commissioner Smith to approve resolution 2024-25, the solid waste annual rate. All those in favor signify by
Mr.
saying
Chair.
aye. Aye.
Mr.
All
Chair.
opposed?
Did you ask for public
Oh.
participation?
I'm sorry.
You gotta ask for public
Yes, I do.
participation.
Public, anybody wish to comment on the trash? Yes, sir. Come on up and tell us your name.
Jackie, man, quit curious, if I understood you right, what's your fund balance now in solid waste?
In solid waste,
361.
we're anticipating at the end of this year around 587,000.
Fund balance? And fund balance,
Yes, sir.
what's the reason to carry the fund balance that high?
Well, for one, we've got a $3.5 million project coming up, on solid waste.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta have some new facilities.
And our solid waste is not increasing, but we do have that project we're gonna be doing.
Well, I just wondered what was the reason for growing the fund balance? And you answered
So-
the question.
Yeah, we do have a fund balance policy for solid waste. It currently puts our requirement at 265,000. So of that, like approximately half of it is already accounted for in policy.
Good. I didn't know.
Yeah.
We're over about 361, but we know we have a big project we're fixing to be doing.
All right, thank you. Any others? All right, all those in favor of resolution 2024-25 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes.
So now we're to our trim process, and I'd just like to give a general synopsis of the trim process. On June 1st, the property appraiser delivers an estimate of the total assessed value, and we use this estimate for our budget planning and establishing. For July 1st, the property appraiser certifies the taxable value on the DR 420. And by August 4th, we have to inform the property appraiser of the following: the prior year millage rate, the current year proposed millage rate, the current year rollback rate, and the date, time, and meeting place of the tentative budget hearing, which we're about to proceed with. So our first item to start with the budget is Resolution 2024-26. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for Gilchrist County for fiscal year 2024-2025, and providing for an effective date. The gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Gilchrist County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the Board of County Commissioners at $1,304,677,248. The fiscal year 2024-25 operating millage rate is 8.7 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 7.8466 mils by 10.876%. The fiscal year 2024-2025 aggregate operating millage rate is 9.7077 mils, which is more than the aggregate rollback rate of 8.5223 by 13.91%. This includes the principal authority, which is the general fund, and the dependent MSTU. So I do need a motion to approve the resolution. We do need to provide for public comment, and we do need to vote by roll call.
All right. Motion to approve. I have a motion to approve Resolution 2024-26 in a second by Commissioner Tommy Langford. Do we have any public comment on this resolution? Okay,
Discussion? Correct?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when we were doing budgeting, I was under, I thought I had heard someone say that our, millage rate had stayed the same from, 2022 to 23, but, so I went back to, my taxes and I, looked, and I'll just go all the way back to 2019, it was 9.5, 2020, 9.4. We never, I don't think, go back to the rollback, but we have, going back just a little. We went back, 1/10 on 21 to 9.3, and 22, 9.0. And 23 is 8.7, and this year again is 8.7. And the rollback is what it would be, because I don't know if everybody understands it, like, that would kind of be, and tell me if I'm wrong, but that would be if we budgeted the same amount budget from, what the previous year was. So, we're not going back to the rollback. But, I can't be in favor of 8.7 whenever, this is going to, our policy is 7.9, our fund balance policy. And then we're gonna have 10.4 million. And so with this 8.7, we're gonna have, almost 2.5 million over our policy. And then, I know last year, whenever, like the solid waste went up, our millage rate went down. And the year before, whenever fire went up, the millage rate went down. This is just like, double tax. I mean, this is just hurting people worse, so I can't be in favor of it.
Okay. Anybody else wish to comment? All right. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2024-26, and we'll vote by, public comment? I thought I asked for that earlier. I asked for that, and then I went to Sharon. All right. All right, so we do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2024-26. All those,
Can I
Roll call.
just make a real quick comment? I have gotten some calls from people concerned about the increase. And even though our millage is staying the same, property values have gone up, and that causes the increase. And, so I'm gonna generally support this. I would like to ask all of us to think about next year's budget and ask staff to think about next year's budget. And we get started sooner than like the month that we get started in. I'd like to ask for suggestions on how we improve our budgeting process. And I just feel like, we always owe it to our, and I know we all agree on this, we want to do the best we can for our residents and our citizens and our taxpayers. And so I'm just asking, we all work towards that goal.
all right, I'm just gonna speak for myself. The reason I have supported this is we are growing. Any way you look at it, Gilchrist County is growing. More demand on trash, there's more demand on EMS, there's more demand on everything is under more demand. And we are one disaster away from being in financial difficulty. If we had that Debbie had hit us, or last year's hurricane had hit us, we would be now borrowing money at 7%. And I don't want to borrow money at any percentage when we can keep a fund balance that's drawing over 5% or at 5%. And that is why I have been in favor. I have always wanted to have, the year before I came on the board, I sat in meetings and I saw what they had to do. They had to cut this and cut that and cut salaries and cut this. You talk about hurting people, cut their salary in the job they're in. That hurts people a whole lot more than adding a few dollars to their tax roll for what they're having to do. That's why have been supportive in what our finance people have brought to us. If they say this is what we need to run, I want to believe them, and I want to make sure we're financially sound as a county. We don't want to borrow money at 7% from anybody. And so that's why I have been in favor of these budget increases.
And Commissioner Martin, you know, I agree with you. We do need a fund balance, and we do. We have that. Our policy, like I stated, was 7.9. Now it's 10, so we're 2.5 over. So that is.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a
tax
comment.
Go right ahead.
So this budget, what it presents is that within the general fund, if you just consider general fund, we have a $1.8 million surplus. The problem is the general fund has to cover everything else that the county does. So in fire, we have a $235,000 deficit based on budgeted expenditures and revenues. In the road department, you have almost, these numbers are small, almost $1.4 million in requirement from the general fund. You know, EMS has a slight surplus and solid waste has a slight surplus. But the bottom line is even though the general fund has a surplus of $1.8 million, we're actually removing $3.8 million from your general fund this year based on our budget. So, you know, when we talk about excess fund balance, don't worry about it. You just started to resolve that.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't take but 1 year for you to quickly eliminate your fund balance. It doesn't take but, you know, certain events to occur to eliminate your fund balance. And, you know, part of that this year, of course, is solid waste being a major project, $3.5 million. But very quickly, you know, millions seem like a lot when we think about our personal budgets. But when you consider a county budget, you know, an extra $2 million is not that much money. And you have to be very cautious that it's not easy to replace those dollars. You know, we've discussed how those dollars got in there. It took us a long time, and you're not going to just replace that overnight. So, you know, again, I think it's wise to be cautious about, you know, how we utilize our fund balance because we are taking a big chunk out this year.
And that is why I have supported the increases that we've put in. All right, we have had a motion. We have had a second on resolution 2024-26. We had public comment. Anybody else wish to comment now that we've had more? All right, Sharon, you vote for or against?
No.
No. Okay, Daryl?
Yes.
Yes. I'm yes.
Yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
and Tommy and Mr. Thomas is yes. So let it show that it passed 4-1. Resolution 2024-26.
For the record, resolution 2024-26 passes 4-1 at 5:32. Next, we have resolution 2024-27. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, providing for an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $64,010,029. This is the necessary budget to fund personal services, operating expenses, capital outlay, and reserves for the board. With this, the fiscal year 2024-25 tentative budget would be adopted. Do need to we do need to allow for public comment, and this does require
All
roll
right,
call.
do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we, approve resolution 2024-27.
Second.
All right, and a second, motion by Commissioner Langford, a second by Commissioner Smith. Is there any public comment on resolution 2024-27? Okay,
I do have one question.
all right.
And I guess this is to you, Richard. We took the, assistant, county administrator out, we took that position out and didn't fund it. Can we fund the request from the sheriff for, another, investigator? He asked for an investigator, we didn't fund it, could we do that? Or later on?
It's gonna change some of the buckets, but this number can't change in total any.
So we'll have to do it later.
This is with the assistant
We could
taken
do
out.
Right.
it as a budget amendment in October, if you wanted to.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest, because we're already in that term process.
Right.
And the Department of Revenue has already reviewed this and
Okay.
approved
I'm gonna go with
our
your,
budgets the way.
I'm
they
gonna go with
are
your
set.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-27. Public comment. We've had commissioner comment. Any other? All those in favor?
We got a
Oh,
roll call.
Need to
roll call, Ms. Sharon.
No,
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, let the record show, 4-1 in favor of passing.
For the record, resolution 2024-27 passes 4-1 at 5:35. Next up, we have resolution 2024-28. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for municipal services taxing unit for emergency medical services for fiscal year 2024-2025 and providing for an effective date. The gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Gilchrist County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the Board of County Commissioners Municipal Services Taxing Unit as $1,314,753,563. The fiscal year 2024-2025 operating millage rate is 1.0 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 0.66 mils by 51.52%. Need a motion to approve. We need to allow for public comment, and this does require roll call as well.
All right. We have a motion to approve resolution 2024-28.
So moved.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Langford, second by Commissioner Thomas. Any public comment? All right, commissioners comment.
yeah, so, I'm for getting the third ambulance, which is gonna be $300,000. So, I've asked y'all during the budget, process, if y'all could like meet me in the middle, because it was 0.73 and I would have been for that. Instead of going all the way up to 1, the middle would be 0.866 because we had, $150,000, over our fund balance policy that we could have used for that. So therefore, we wouldn't have had to went up to 1, but I got shot down on that. So therefore, you know, and that wouldn't have to come out of our general fund balance. That was, that was above our fund balance policy. So now with the 1.0, we're gonna have additional $284,000 above fund balance policy. So I'll be voting no.
Okay.
What would be the fund balance, without taking money out versus taking money out, as you're suggesting? Can you tell me that?
Well, we had 149 something, it's right here.
The new unit was gonna cost 600,000
It-
staff,
it was
400,000 for the
It's
ambulance,
gonna be
right?
300, you know, for each. The ambulance is something, that would not be this year the way I understood it, because we've got to first hire our additional staff. And I think Chief said he could use one of the, we just got the 2 new ambulances. We could use one of those ambulances, the better one out of the 2 that we, just took off the road. So we already had 150, and I explained this during budgeting. We already had $150,000 above fund balance policy just in EMS, and I said, I would be in favor of increasing this if y'all could meet me in the middle. Cause all we'd need is 150 more thousand. That would make our 300,000. But it weren't, I wasn't successful.
All right,
Alright.
and I stand there, on my same, reason as earlier as supporting it, so, Ms. Sharon?
No,
No. Daryl?
Yes.
I'm yes.
Yes.
Tommy's yes.
Yes.
All right, let the record show that it passes 4-1. That's resolution 2024-28, tentative millage rate for MSTU budget year.
For the record, resolution 2024-28 passes 4-1 at 5:39. And next up, we have resolution 2024-29, the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for municipal services taxing unit for emergency medical services for fiscal year 2024-2025 and providing for an effective date.
Yeah, motion to approve resolution
Oh,
2024-29. Sorry.
Well, so I'm not quite done.
Keep going.
There's certain things I have to do, by statute. The Board of County Commissioners Municipal Services Taxing Unit of Gilchrist County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $2,915,967. This is the necessary budget to fund personnel services, operating expenses, capital outlay, and reserves for EMS. And with this, the fiscal year 2024-2025 tentative budget will be adopted.
Now motion.
Okay.
Resolution 2024-29.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024, which is the tentative budget for MSTU for budget year 24-25. Any public comment? Yes, sir. If you would, just tell us your name one more time so they have it on record.
Jackie there. Just a question. Does the MSTU millage rate generate adequate revenue to fund the entire operation of the EMS service?
That's a complicated question.
Not a simple.
No, let me
Do you
explain
have
my,
any other revenues besides this that funds the EMS service?
yes,
What are
the services for running the ambulances. So whenever somebody uses the ambulance,
they?
they actually have an ambulance fee.
like what they have
But
to pay if they
usually
go to
the
the
ambulance-
hospital.
That's what I was looking at.
Mm.
What's that revenue?
Around 900,000,
How much?
900,000.
$900,000.
Mhm.
Great. Job of me sharing in the middle, and I think this would be an adequate response that everybody would be in favor of. Bill, if you have to call the ambulance, you're gonna get a bill plus pay the MSTU, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Why not give you credit for what you pay the MSTU against the bill?
Well, the problem is we have a lot of people in this county that do not pay that bill, yet they still get ambulance services. In fact, I would say that probably they may use it several times a year and not pay that service. And, it would be nice if everybody paid, and if everybody paid, we wouldn't have to go up any at all, but, that's not the case. And so when I do call, I want someone to show up. So we wanted to increase we have the same number of ambulances we had 10 years ago. Well, we've grown a lot in the last 10 years, so we agreed to put another ambulance on the road. That's over $300,000 for the ambulance, and then you gotta hire the people that go with it. And, although we did have extra money in the fund balance, I don't believe we had the money to fund the ambulance and the staff and everything that goes with it. And that's why I was in favor of going up with it.
Mr. Chair, if I could also add to
I
that,
don't have a
the,
question about the going up.
the $300,000 though, that is the amount that's being charged to EMS. There's also 300,000 that's being charged to fire. That's the reason I said it's not a simple answer. But so the 300,000 that's being allotted to EMS, yeah, it is.
Does a resident get billed for fire services when they call it?
They do not.
Then that lends more credibility to what I'm telling you that I would do. It just makes sense Bill, if you get that bill, you're gonna pay the bill. Why don't you get credit for what you paid towards the MSTU against that bill? These people never pay the bill and never get credit.
Well, the problem though is that we have a total budget that's taken that into account. That's assuming that we're gonna get $900,000 in service fees. And we're gonna get, the MSTU that, so all of these revenues are taking that into account. So if you give somebody a credit for their MSTU, you're eliminating part of your revenue source. So you've got to, something else has got to cover that difference. Because we're budgeting that that's going to be there.
Okay, how much is the billable revenue for services
Mhm.
do you fail to collect?
Probably 55%,
How much?
Yeah.
probably around 55%,
65?
55 to 60.
Well, are you running a fund balance surplus?
In EMS?
Yeah.
Yes.
What about power?
In fire, we're actually having to supplement fire this year for the second year in a row.
Well, this is where I'm coming. One of the biggest issues that you deal with is people who come before the board or the Bobby or whoever, looking for services, and they look at the inequity that they personally feel because they're not only paying the MSTU bill, they're also paying for the services that they provide. But the people that aren't paying for the services are getting the free ride.
That's true. Same people,
Mhm.
I have the same, problem with people saying, I don't use your garbage collection. Why do I have to pay a garbage fee? That's how we fund the garbage collection in Gilchrist County. And if they wanna pay extra to have some other company come in and get it, they can.
But no, that's not even the same deal.
Cause that's a choice,
That's not even the same deal at all. You know, you remember the MSTU, you've got to pay that bill, because that's an ad valorem tax.
Right.
And not to pay it, you risk losing your property. What I'm saying is that give them some equity, you know, give them the credit for whatever they paid on the MSTU. I don't think you're gonna be hurt.
I guess I'm just not seeing how we're gonna replace that revenue. We're gonna collect the amount that we're gonna collect. I mean, there's, we do our best to collect everything we can. But if you give a credit for something that you were budgeting for, I'm not sure how we.
Yeah.
I
you
think
know-
you've already, in the budget, like that 900,000 that we're anticipating, that's already in the budget right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we we can evaluate that and show on paper what actually you're asking about, I think, and see
Well, I
whether it
really
works or not.
think that maybe you don't have a feel for the sense of inequity that your people that you represent feel in these types of situations. I've been out and about more in the last 4 or 5 months than I've been in 20 years talking to people around this county. And one of the biggest challenges that you've got is to bring some cohesiveness and sense of community back to all the residents of this county. To me, if you had to go up on the MSTU by 15%, and you were willing to allow Bill to use what he paid against the MSTU to offset what he was being billed for ambulance services, that represents an opportunity for equity that, I think the return on it would just go to that.
See, now that's a different story though. No, Jackie, listen to what I'm saying. You just said increase your millage rate to compensate for the difference. Well, I'm convinced that if you have $1 million in expenses and you budget $1 million in revenue, if you reduce that revenue, now you have a deficit. And that's what I'm saying, but you're saying that you increase your millage rate to cover that credit, but now you're putting everyone else that's not utilizing the service at more of a detriment. If you increase that millage rate in order to provide that credit. So.
Well, I'm not convinced that you would have to do that. What are the ends that you use to collect the bill? How much is the bill that you about people who have those assets that you could leave. Anybody know what that number is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
And, you know, if you can't find it, then I think you need to look at going forward to try to collect.
See, I think the challenge in this personally, Jackie, is that like when I pay my tax bill and I pay my MSTU, what I'm doing is I'm providing funds to ensure that there's an ambulance service if I require their. Right, and so like as I pay my tax bill, I'm praying that I don't utilize that service.
I'm hoping I don't ever.
You know,
have to do that
I'm
either.
praying that I never have to call them, but I'm paying that to ensure that hopefully they're there whenever I need the call.
And some people they'll call the ambulance 20 times a year. Oh, I don't call but once
Some
in my
people
life.
call when they have a sore throat, you know?
Chief Campbell,
Go ahead.
Gilchrist County Fire. So one, this has been something that I looked at when I first started here, is if we could do, it's almost the same as what we call subscription service. Florida prohibits that. We're not allowed to treat or bill our residents any different than we're allowed to bill anywhere else, because we have to still follow. We receive Medicare and Medicaid funds. Medicare pays probably 60 to 70% of that money that we're getting from an insurance company. We do have the board approved a prompt pay discount. So if you call us up, if you have a balance, we'll give you a prompt pay discount 30% without having to come to the board, which is a pretty decent amount off of that. Supposed to pay it within 180 days. We've set up payment arrangements for people to do stuff like that as well. We don't have a clock that says, okay, you didn't do it in 180 days, it goes back up. We just apply the discount to the account. The other thing is we have never put a lien on anybody for any kind of ambulance bills. Most of those get written off. Most of the ambulance bills that are billable, most of the write-off, I should say, is not actually a write-off, it's an insurance adjustment. The $1,200 bill that we may have, Medicaid's only gonna give us $200 and we can't go after any other funds. Most of the write-offs and adjustments are Medicaid and Medicare adjustments. We'll bill private health care for anything we can. Anything balance left over, which some insurance companies say, I can't charge you a balance back. We do not aggressively pursue any of that. So there is a discount mechanism. I wish that we could have gotten everything at some point to say, if you're paying taxes in Gilchrist County and we transport you, I don't think you could have a bill. But they won't let us do that. And that's probably the only reason that it hasn't happened already, is because that is a Medicare and Medicaid guideline, and if we broke that, we're gonna lose $600,000 to $700,000 a year in funding. But trust me, I'm on your side with that.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Appreciate your concern. All right. Any other comments? All right, any commissioner comments? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2024-29. Sharon?
No.
All right, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
I'm a yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right, let the motion, the record show that Resolution 2024-29 passed 4-1.
For the record, resolution 2024-29 passes 4-1 at 5:52. Mr. Chair, that concludes our tentative budget hearing.
All right, Ms. Langford, do you want to continue?
Yeah, the zipper we bought, how close are we to using that yet?
We would have already been using it if it wouldn't have been for the storm debris, but we had to dedicate people to getting the storm debris up. So as soon as we get through with the storm debris, we'll be using the zipper.
Okay. The last thing I have is, I've gotten an email and I've talked to several people, gotten a call, and I've reached out and talked to other people about, something that's gonna change. I'm not sure if it's gonna change this year, December of 24. One person thought it was gonna be 24 and another person thought it was gonna be December 25. But just so y'all know, we have, with the septic tanks being inspected, well, right now, you know, when you get a permit, it goes through our local health department. Well, the state's gonna be changing this, where now it's gonna go through the Department of Environmental Protection. With-
Just a second, could we hold it until after the meeting? Thank you.
With, Alachua County, supervising it. And the thing that a lot of people have a problem with is, when Alachua County, when they're in Alachua County and have to pull a permit, sometimes for a septic tank, it may take 3 to 4 months, a length of time versus, you know, in Gilchrist or Dixie, you know, it could be, you know, a couple of days. Sometimes it's been, you know, 1 day turnaround even. And I know like right now, it's $500 for a permit. So I need to find out, if you can talk to Wesley next time you talk to him, Mr. Crosby, and find out how much of that $500 is what we get back. And also another thing to find out, I know we give the health department some money each year. So how much of that money that we give them, oversees the permit process for the, you know, the septic tank? So how much would that be? Because something we might want to look at, you know, seeing how much money that is, maybe partner like with Dixie County and getting our own person to do these septic tank, inspections and permits. So we need to find out how much we give, our health department right now, how much of that funding goes towards that, towards the permitting that we, paid for, and also how much is that $500. I don't know if y'all have any calls or emails, but, I'm just letting y'all know that's something that's coming down from the state. And, once again, Alachua County, will be, overseeing it.
Only thing I have heard is, in the near future, they're going to require all septic tanks be a new type of septic system that's quite a bit more expensive to put in. Then I've also heard, and I don't know if this is true, that in the next 5 to 6 years, that even if you have your system pumped at your house, that they're not going to be allowed to pump it unless you upgrade your septic system to this new improved way of taking care of it.
Yeah.
But that's
I
all
wonder
hearsay.
I wonder if we shouldn't get the health department to come and talk to us about this and just make sure that we're getting
Getting the right
the right information.
Well, I have spoken to Wesley, him and I have spoken, and I have asked him to come here. But what he's trying to do is get a little bit more information, because right now, it's almost like a hearsay right now. Because one of the other things that they are talking about is, allowing private firms to do this, and then that could be turned in if you're certified by DEP. Now, the county wouldn't have to hire that person. You could, as the homeowner or whatever, you would just contact that person. They could come out and do it, and then they would be certified by the DEP. They're trying to kind of push for that in case it goes to this collective permitting office, so that each county, you know, you just have a contractor. You may have 2 or 3, and those contractors, I guess you'd be responsible person you permit, then you got to pay the contractor. So some of the concern would be, one, is the permit going down now, since that doesn't include the inspection fees and some different things. But he was hoping to find out a little bit more, and he told me as soon as he had something he felt confident with, yes, he'd be glad to come.
Can
to
you
the
find
board.
out also if that's gonna happen in December 24 or December 25? Because I've heard 2 different things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did, helping my grandson with his septic tank. We were told from Tallahassee that law did pass on the new expensive septic tank, but it only applies to less than 1 acre.
That's what I
He had
thought.
1.1 acre, so, he didn't have to do the new system, but anything under 1 acre would have to require like a $10,000 septic tank and annual inspection and all this other stuff.
Wow.
But they say they're gonna gradually, like Bill said, they're gonna gradually put it on everybody if they possibly can. There's some changes coming, there definitely is.
All right, is that it, Sharon?
I had a lot, didn't I?
Yeah, you had a lot of information. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I've received, a number of compliments related to the road department, and, Bobby, if you'll pass on, we appreciate what they're doing related to catching up our grades and the debris pickup and all of that. Just real quick, I've participated as part of the Small County Coalition in some Zoom meetings, and also Florida Association of County. We're on a couple of committees there, and they have a policy meeting coming up September 18th and 19th. I'm going to try to attend. I did submit on behalf of the board, based on our discussion in the past, a policy suggestion related to solar facilities, and just asking for a discussion at the state level related to solar facilities. So we'll know more about that after that meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Langford,
I don't have a whole lot. I'll be going to Callahan tomorrow for our economic council meeting, with Jeff Henry and, Diane Schultz, their quarterly meeting. They're having it at Callahan tomorrow from 9 to 12. Dollar General's coming along slowly but surely.
Yep.
So not a lot to report on that, but.
all right, Mr. Thomas?
I'd like to get with Bobby or somebody and bring up some of this permitting that we got, anything that we can simplify, I'd like to do it. I know one man went to put a T-bow thing in his backyard and just to stand alone and had to get a big permit, and I think that's ridiculous.
Build a what now?
T-bow, whatever you call
The,
A gazebo?
gazebo.
it. T-bow.
A gazebo.
Whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he had to get a permit for that, and I think it's ridiculous if a man owns his place and he wants to put something in his backyard, he ought to be able to do it.
I sat down and talked with Gene the other day about that. Some of them are state, some of them are county. He said some of them could be changed by the board if we wanted to.
We need to do
But
that.
I told him I'd like to go over every one of them and anything that we can,
Simplify.
simplify and maybe eliminate, to make it easier for people to have, their personal property rights and do things they need to do. And he said he'd be glad to sit down and discuss that, so maybe we can just get him, to sit down with us or come to the meeting, or I can sit down with him and let him make some recommendations or something. But something needs to be done.
Have a workshop.
Well, yeah, we need to.
And at the workshop, he can, come and have us, the list of stuff that's not required by state. That way
Yeah.
we can make that decision. So when we have the workshop, he needs to be prepared and have everything that we go above and beyond that state does not require.
That's right. That's
So
what
if we
I'm
can ha-
looking for.
And just get with, Mr. Stockman, and see, Mr. Crosby, how long it's gonna take him to get that list up. And when he has that list up, then just put it on for a workshop on the
I
agenda.
also found out that a lot of things that people say, when you really dig deep, they're not necessarily true.
It's true.
And a lot of people wants to blame, the county, but a lot of it falls back on them not doing exactly what they were told to do on the time frame they were told to do it. So
Yeah.
I've had several of those cases that I've, worked with, and that's one reason that I sat down with Gene the other day is discussion of some of that stuff. But I do think we need to look at our county regulations as far as permitting and what's required and this and that and the other, and see what we can do.
Yeah, I had someone last year, or the year before, made dog pens, concrete with a shed over it. And I mean, they were clearly dog pens, people, they spend a lot of money on their dogs. And, they had to get a permit.
Person in Langford.
No, it weren't them like first.
Wouldn't some of that be covered in our LDRs and the changes that we've looked at over the last year or two? And we're gonna have a workshop on those potential changes, and wouldn't some of that be in that Gene
Most of
could
your
look at?
LDRs is zoning. I mean, you may have a little bit of stuff based on size or something like that, but most of your permitting, your actual building or your structural requirements and your life safety requirements are gonna be in the Florida Building Code.
Okay.
You know.
So, I mean, we wanna follow all the building codes, state and local, but if there's things that we're going above and beyond on, maybe there are things we could lighten up a little bit on and see, but I don't know that there's a lot of that going on.
There's not a lot that's not.
But there may be some,
There
there may
are
be
some.
some that we could
He
do.
did tell me there's some things that we could adjust.
Right. I only had 2 calls this last couple weeks. One lady was quite upset because a limb had fallen across the road and there was no way for her to get out because it's one road in and one road out. She called the road department and couldn't get a hold of anybody. She called again and couldn't get a hold of anybody. Finally, she got her neighbor to take a tractor down there and push it out of the way so she could go to work. She was quite upset about that.
That's the one I emailed you about, Mr. Crosby. She left a message and it took several days before somebody returned her call.
Returned her call.
And you was gonna look into it?
Yes,
Yeah,
I-
that's
I
the
got
same
it.
one. And then,
I
and
think
I'm
we've
sure
got that.
several people got that
I
call
did.
because,
And it happened on Monday, and she told me they called her back on Thursday and asked her if the road was still
Yeah.
blocked.
yeah, and so, I wanted to look into that, why
It's-
that happened.
it's
The
already
other
been taken
request
care
I've had is for, is for mosquito spray. I don't know what the rule is about spraying, down by the river or down by water, or where in the county we actually can spray. I know you're trying to get public areas around football fields, ball fields, things like that, but we have several places down along the river that people have complained, and I don't know if they've been sprayed or not. I talked to you last week about some places down on, 47 down by the river, and over at Sun Springs, some people asked. I don't know if they've been out there or not, so I didn't have any to know if they can or can't do those areas. So if you would come up and just tell us real quick again what we can and can't do, if you know.
We cannot spray up against the river, but like, we do go spray in around Sun Springs like you were saying. And, but we're just gonna spray in places where we can be most effective.
Okay.
And that's what we've done. We've had, the latest call for this week around Log Landing, I believe. And, we got like 3 people on the list to do this week that we're gonna try to get to, but as far as everything from last week, we did get that call.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just know there's been a lot in the news about mosquito viruses that are out there now, West Nile and everything else, and it's got everybody kind of concerned, and I understand. I took my granddaughter for a walk yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the mosquitoes were so thick that we only walked about 200 or 300 steps, and I said, you know what, we're gonna go back in and walk later, because they were just everywhere.
Yeah, there's a new one called, I think, Slop.
Right.
Or something like that. And, but, you know, but.
Luckily, they don't sound like they're around us, but people hear about it, and they,
Well, you know, I mean, you just, you know, the homeowner, you gotta be responsible for your own pest control.
Right.
Also. You know, they sell my pile on at the hardware store, and you put it in a pop-up sprayer, and you can spray your own property, because when the mosquitoes land on that stuff, it'll kill it up to 2 weeks if it hasn't rained. You know, so.
Do we have pellets available to give anybody for standing water?
they used to have those at the health department. I don't know if they have any more or not.
Like,
Sometimes we do have that available, and, but, you know, that's not really something that mosquito control can go and do. I mean.
Most of the
when you
time,
look
it's a
at
homeowner.
that, 1/3 of our whole county just in water, water, that's a flat.
Yes.
You know, so, but you guys, cause y'all have the authority, and you give me the money, we can get the helicopters, and we can get the planes, and we can do this.
I know, Dixie County, they'll
wonder
go
why
on
we
your
have
property, but
reserve
they
in our
have a
fund
assessment
balance.
too.
You know, they probably need to get some malfeasance from the,
Now, Ralph, do
Any
you
of
have any
that-
pellets,
any of that-
mosquito pellets in your department? Okay,
we have a few at our department too, but, you know, it's not many.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I like to just put them in cow troughs and stuff like that.
excuse me.
I said, can they be put in cow troughs and things such as that, that livestock drink out of?
To buy Tractor Supply, the mosquito dunks, you know, but basically in cow troughs, you wanna put the minnows in there.
Yeah.
And Gambusa is the name of them.
Yeah, it's mosquito minnows.
But, you know, a lot of that is, you know, other than you guys creating a department and dumping a lot of money into it with those employees and all that needs to happen, you know, you can do that, or it's gonna go back on homeowner of buying mosquito dumps from Tractor Supply, getting Alcon from the, hardware store. We, like I said, we do some of these river areas that we're able to do, some of these public places that we're able to do. But, you know, when you have a whole county of 5-acre lots,
And that's,
there's not much that we can do
I understand.
to pick up truck and
No.
spray.
I understand.
We do the best
I
we can.
understand. You do the best you can, and I appreciate that. I just,
absolutely.
I do appreciate what y'all do, Bobby, and, I'm not cutting it down in any way. I know y'all do a lot. I was just, those were the questions I keep
I
getting.
still want the helicopter, man.
Does the state ever do it? Cause at one time, a few years ago, it's been several years ago, we had planes flying over spraying that. In fact, I had a man call me up, thought people were spying on him. Planes were flying over his house, and he wanted to know they were flying over his house, and I found out they were spraying. So is that come from the state? Cause I know we didn't pay for it.
That might be something the state can help.
Ralph Smith Emergency Management, that's done by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, and we asked for that after Irma, and we're still waiting for it to get here.
Oh, the plan hasn't been here yet.
I guess it got lost.
Okay.
So I just looked it up on Amazon, the mosquito dunks just for the citizens are $18 for a pack of, I think, 20 of them. So more than welcome to buy them on Amazon if you need to. I do have a very small amount at the ESC.
Is there something we as the board can write FEMA and just tell them like we're still waiting, for, mosquito control that,
Well-
we're supposed to get it, but we have not gotten it yet?
Irma's over, so they're
I
not
know,
gonna do
but
anything
for
for
these
it,
ones,
but
at least for Debbie.
normally,
They have not done it for Debbie.
normally what's got to, the last time that we were able to get, they came in and did spraying, they had actually did a declaration and the state started sending people in the spray.
I
And the
remember that.
mosquitoes
Didn't have traps up around the county?
you have to
I heard
trap
the whole
them, you
state.
gotta have certain information, but the other thing is, if we need that help, we need to reach out for it, but I hope our mosquitoes don't get that bad, you
Yeah, and
know.
I think the year they
but-
started spraying, there had been a breakout of the encephalitis. in the
There had been a lot of
surrounding
issues and they were spraying most of
So they
Florida.
They were
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, it was bad.
gung ho on it.
I don't know if toad frogs eat mosquitoes, but we had a toad frog hatching too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
come across Cow Creek
Just after
Bridge the
that
other
rain,
day,
yeah, after that
and
rain.
the highway was black with just little bitty frogs, thousands and thousands of them. I said, if they eat mosquitoes, there won't be no more.
There won't be no more left. All right. Anybody else? Comment? How about the public? Anybody in the public still want to address us on the issues? We thank you all for coming and sitting through the budget process, with us. And,
Motion to adjourn.
we got a motion and a second. We're adjourned.
All right. Go home.